Hello everyone, welcome back to another Pokemon X and Y Daily. I'm once again joined today by Nick, SuperBlath411.
Hey guys!
And we're going to talk about something that involves mechanic changes. So there's lots of interesting stuff here, which is really going to affect competitive, I feel, in this next generation. Of course, it'll have some kind of effect on the main story, but we don't really give a fuck, so let's get into it. The main three are, first of all, Grass-type Pokemon are no longer going to be affected by Powder and Spore moves. That doesn't mean just Spore on its own, that means, like, Poison Powder, Paralyzed Powder. What's the Paralyzed one?
Stun Spore.
Sunspore, that's the one.
Paralyzed
Powder.
It's
all
okay.
those. So any grass type can switch in. So think about like fucking Celebi on Breloom, right? Breloom can't put that thing to sleep anymore, and it resists both its stab. So it's pretty cool. The next one is
God, that's so great.
right. The next one is electric type Pokemon not being able to be paralyzed. Which is pretty big as well. It seems like something that should have been implemented a long time ago, but for some reason wasn't. And the final one is Ghost type are no longer affected by moves that prevent Pokemon from fleeing from battle. Now, this sounds like it's not going to be a big deal, but if this includes Pursuit,
then Gengar's going to Ubers and everybody else can just go cry in a corner.
right? That could be huge. Like, so let's talk about the grass types first. What are your thoughts on the fact that this has come into play? Do you think it's a bit overpowered, or do you think it's a nice balance to have?
I think it's a great balance to have because Breloom never really had just a solid hard counter that just shuts it down.
Well, you know, the problem with it is it can put things to sleep. I guess Dragonite's one of them. Dragonite is really good, but
And then it goes to sleep and then your opponent gets advantage.
well, you know, there are ways to deal with Breloom. It just means that thing's a lot easier to deal with, and it means, like,
Right.
you're no longer worrying about carrying a dedicated sleep fodder or something
Exactly.
like that, right? So, I mean, you can just put a grass type on your team and you're covering your bases for all those kind of things. It's your go-to Pokemon for a lot of status effects, and sleep most of all, because Spore is such a pain in the ass to deal with.
I think they're balancing out the game in 6th gen, and they're making every type have its own advantages and disadvantages. But they're more relevant. So it's not like Poison type, where Poison type was just completely who cares about it because everything learns toxic anyway.
Yeah.
But now everything's getting like a nice balance, it seems.
I think the nice thing about these changes is that they are logical, and I'm kind of surprised that they weren't there in the first place, you know? Like, electric types being able to be paralyzed is something that shouldn't have been a thing. And it's kind of like they're going back and they're reassessing, they're like, oh yeah, that actually is a logical thing to do, let's do that. So it's cool. I mean, it does kind of, well, I guess, you know, T-Wave's going to be going down a little bit in usage because now you've got two types that are immune to it. But I think that's a good thing. What are your thoughts on electric types not being paralyzed?
I was one of the ones that was crying about it for like a couple years. Well,
Right.
not for a couple years, but a couple years ago. There was just like when Flinchrachi was big.
Oh god.
I was like, why do electric types get paralyzed? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So,
it's a cool thing, and also a nice thing. I believe Nagi brought this up. If you're running an electric type with Scarf, you're no longer afraid of being paralyzed with that thing, which I think is pretty cool. You know,
Yeah.
The good thing about Scarf Garchomp was it was never in fear of being paralyzed. Now you can run Scarf electric types, who also have no fear of the similar thing.
Another thing is, you don't have to worry about, like, oh, I don't want to hit this thing because it has static, and I know I'm going to get screwed over by static. Or, I would switch in my Raikou on this Specs Thunderbolt, but I don't want to get paralyzed and lose the game for it.
Now, that's something I'm not quite sure about. If there is a side effect of being paralyzed, will that still affect it? Or will it be like Burn? Like, is this going to be the exact same thing as Burn, where there is no way ever at all that it can be paralyzed? So, even from Body Slam, even from those kind of things. Because that's
what I'm thinking.
right? But it does say, and this is the thing, because underneath the type chart that all this kind of new information was put under, it specifically says Fire-type Pokemon cannot be afflicted with the burned condition, which means that in no case can it be afflicted. And it also says Electric-type Pokemon cannot be afflicted with the paralyzed condition. So from that wording, one would think that it means you can't get paralyzed from T-Bolt, you can't get paralyzed from Thunder, can't get paralyzed from Body Slam. I think that's the case, if they're wording it like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So that's pretty.
The
awesome.
only thing I would like better with the ghost types is if it worked with things like Arena Trap.
The main one's Shadow Tag, really, as well.
Right, Shadow Tag as well.
Because, I mean, you know, Arena Trap Gengar can get out of anyway, but it's still going to be trapped in by Shadow Tag. So it's a little bit of a pain, but it's not like a huge amount of things get access to that ability anyway, so not huge. But the real kicker with the Ghost-type Pokemon being able to flee from any kind of, you know, mean look and that kind of thing, will this apply to Pursuit? Because Pursuit is a big deal, you know. T-Tar is a good way of getting rid of Gengars and stuff with Pursuit, and you know, it's just a nice thing to have. So if they are able to get out and not be affected by it whatsoever, I think that's going to be pretty big.
It's definitely going to be the difference maker.
Certainly. I mean, you know, I can't really think of any other like trapping moves like Mean Look. What else is there really?
Spiderweb.
Right, that commonly used move.
Yeah, you know that one that's getting laddered right now on Showdown.
Right. I mean, everyone.
All Spiderweb teams, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's anything else. Nothing that really comes to mind. But from a logical perspective...
Oh, block, derp.
Block, yeah, duh. Do you think this worked from a logical perspective in terms of Ghost Pokemon being able to get away?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
It does kind of make sense because Mean Look is like, oh, it kind of paralyzes you in fear, but why are ghosts afraid of anything? They're already fucking dead, so...
Exactly, they're
like
dead.
If you can't fear death, then you really don't have much to be afraid of. So yeah,
Except
I think
for Pursuit, so...
yeah, that is the one condition here. So we'll await that. Hopefully that will be clarified sometime soon. But otherwise, that's pretty much a wrap on these mechanic changes. What do you think about the mechanic changes? Let us know down in the comments. We'd be very pleased to hear so. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video. You can check us out on social medias. Nick, go plug yourself.
At Superblah411 /Superblah411, and I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's all. I'm at LordMBZ on Twitter. I am /LordMBZ on the Facky books. You can go follow, do all the ats and things, and we'll...
Ats and slashes.
Ats and slashes. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, and see you guys then. Have an XY day!